Let's do it then.
All right.
Festivus is back! I'll get the pole out of the crawl's face. The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. And now, as Festivus rolls on, we come to the feats of strength.
Not the feats of strength.
Frank, no offense, but this holiday's a little out there.
You can't go. Who's gonna do the feats of strength?
Until you pin me, George, Festivus is not over. Let's rumble!
I remember that so well.
Oh, man.
That's our first intro ever. I like it.
It is. It could have been literally anything. I didn't even know that was happening until I was told when I hit the button. So, oh, yeah, we've got an intro. It could have been fucking porn. It could have been something massively racist. But luckily, Dark Hour kept his secret dark thoughts to himself. So that's all good.
Thank goodness.
But yes, welcome, welcome chat, welcome everybody. It is the final BSUP before Crimbo, and we are here to discuss various things which have nothing to do with Christmas, but since some of us are wearing festive things, in the spirit of Die Hard, this makes it a Christmas stream. So, Merry pre-Christmas. I hope you're all suitably lubed up and also drunk.
I do want to give one shout out real quick. Tyler helped me with that. He put the faces on there to make it pass copyright. So didn't strike us down.
Wouldn't that be awful if we got copyright struck within the first 30 seconds of the stream?
Yeah, Tyler Wolf was the reason why we were able to get that through. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, we have a lovely panel with us today to discuss some slightly less than lovely things, some of which I've even seen. So I don't know where do we want to start with the topic list today?
The good or the bad? Yeah. Sonic 3 or Mufasa. So the
I
good
have
or the bad?
not seen Sonic 3. I mean, that could be a nice quick one to get out of the way.
Yeah, we could, because it's actually more of a recommendation, which we talk about less because I would actually like people to go see the movie that we're recommending.
97.
Yep. I saw it. Did anybody else see this movie?
No. I saw it opening day.
Me and Dark Hour. Okay. Well, I'll go first then on this topic. Sonic 3, if you are a fan of the first two movies, you will definitely like this one because it's the best of the three. Shadow the Hedgehog is actually a really compelling character. He's basically like the Gerard Way or emo John Wick. But they run through themes of like adoption and redemption, and it's just a kids movie. But they do a really good job with this character. And the same with Sonic. They keep finding ways to actually make him compelling instead of just, like a meme generator. And yeah, Dark Hour, what did you think of it, sir?
So I don't know if I agree with you that it's the best of the three. Because partially because Knuckles is my favorite character, and he kind of does take a back seat.
Yeah, he's in the background.
It makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense. He was a big emphasis in the second movie, and he got his own show earlier this year. So for them to kind of balance that out, they probably decided, hey, let's kind of like use him sparingly. Mm-hmm. I do think that Keanu Reeves surprisingly did pretty well. Considering he's not really known.
He was Keanu. Like I think he did well.
I would say he was John Wick. Honestly, he was John Wicking it up, which makes sense because Shadow is kind of the John Wick of the Sonic universe anyway. I thought I'm surprised that Jim Carrey's shtick hasn't run its course. I still thought it was pretty funny.
I don't think it's run its course. I think it's gotten better.
Yeah, I think as he's embraced Robotnik more, like the first movie, he's almost not even Robotnik. It's like
I think that's part of the character development because they've really gotten to Robotnik now at this point. Like he even has his big belly and everything. But it was almost like Jim Carrey he's not only gotten more comfortable in the role, but I think he's embraced it. It's not just Jim Carrey's not afraid to be silly by any stretch, but it's almost like in the first movie, it's a Sonic movie, so it's a little embarrassing. And then by the time you get to the third movie and everyone's loving it, so is he. And he's really loving playing Dr. Robotnik at this point. It really shows on the screen. It's I saw it with my girlfriend, and she had never seen the first two films, and she absolutely enjoyed this movie all the way through. And she thought that Jim Carrey was a pleasant surprise coming on the screen. So He chews up the scenery, but it's exactly what you want to happen. He makes. I could say he makes the movie. If you remove him, it becomes mediocre.
It's very generic if you remove him.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the characters, like not only Knuckles isn't the only one to take a step back. They've really took a step back on most of the human characters actually don't really get much screen time other than Robotnik, obviously.
Which you want.
Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah.
At this
Yeah,
point?
that's a
it
good
is a good
thing.
They except for the sister, the fat sister is pretty funny in the first two movies, but
She is pretty funny, isn't she?
But the it's definitely up there. I mean, I would say the same thing. If you love the first two, you'll love this one. I personally like the second one best. You know, some people told me they like the first one best. I think they're all in the same ballpark though.
Mhm.
You know, if they're none of them are A pluses by any stretch of the imagination, but they're all in that like B range of like, and I don't mean B movie, B grading range, where it's like they're really good and they're fun. They're inoffensive. They don't really attack their audience ever.
Yeah, they embrace the audience.
Yeah.
The Easter eggs galore in these movies, but all the same, they're not there.
But they're worked in well.
They're worked in. They're not in the forefront at all.
It's not like what they did with Mario last year, where everything was a hammer over the head reference. Here, they kind of slip them in, and they're a little bit more subtle. But if you're paying attention and you know them, you'll grab them immediately.
Absolutely, it's fan service done correctly.
I think the difference between that and Mario is that you care about Sonic in the first two movies. I can't talk about the third, but in the first two movies, especially the first, you really did care about him. So, which is a feat when it comes to a kids movie. Tell you the truth. Then again, Disney used to do it a long time ago.
You care about him for a different reason in this one. This one, they kind of play around with the like concept of how far will Sonic go for the greater good kind of thing,
right?
Which is cool that they went that route, because up to this point he's been very much, this is my way of doing things, and this he kind of they show that he's outmatched, and they even show it in the trailers that he's outmatched.
And the character development too between Shadow and Sonic is they're put through the same trials. They're both dealing with abandonment and adoption issues, and you're just seeing how one character goes off in one trajectory, and if Sonic is going to go that route too. Like, obviously, it's no spoiler that he doesn't. He's Sonic the Hedgehog, but it's how he gets there and the path and the journey he takes to get there by the end of the movie. It's surprisingly deep.
It has a very like Luke and Darth Vader kind of aspect to it. Like similar circumstances one go the same route kind of thing.
My story's good.
I would suggest, and also there's two for every, because this is one thing everyone always wants to know. There's two post-credit, one mid-credit scene, one post-credit scene. Honestly, I always tell people you don't really gotta wait for that last post-credit scene. I waited.
Yeah, it's never
whatever. But the mid-credit scene, stay for. That one is cool.
I did not stay for it. I got up and left. So you'll have to.
I'm not gonna tell people what it was, but
I read what they were. And I heard the hardcore Sonic fans. Now I tapped out at Sonic CD on the Sega CD. That's where I tapped out. But I know that they're really hyped for what they're coming, because isn't this Jim Carrey's last go as Robotnik?
Well, they did greenlight a fourth movie, so who knows?
Yeah, there's no way he's enjoying it too much. You can tell.
He's having a lot of fun.
Doesn't he also really need money?
Does he? Well, they certainly paid him a lot.
Yeah, I don't think he does. But the thing is with Jim Carrey is that he always says things like, I'm retiring, or this is my last movie, or whatever. And then he always comes back, because you know why? Because it's in his blood. Comedy's in his blood. There's no way he's going to turn down the next one. I'm telling you now. So anyway, just my guess.
Well, yeah, I think if they were if they weren't received as well as they were, I think he may have. But I think because he's having fun and they're well received, it gives him incentive.
That's the most important thing in this. And we go way back to the beginning of this whole thing when they changed the look because of actual fan response.
Yeah.
They give a crap about doing this right. And they're doing, they're doing what you're supposed to do. Make something for the fans. Tailor your content for the true passionate ones. And everything I've heard about this for the past, 4 or 5 days now is from the hardcore Sonic fans. They love it. And when you make something for your hardcore fan, they become your biggest cheerleader. They become your biggest banner waver, and they're saying, yes, we're going to spread the good word. And now we don't know. We know what the numbers are right now domestically. This thing kicked Mufasa's ass.
Yeah.
To the curb stomped.
Almost double
hard.
it.
Yeah. But we do not know what the international is, because they're not releasing international till Christmas Day and the day after Christmas Day. I'm curious why they did that. I don't understand why they didn't make it a Christmas. Why they waited. I understand people go to movies on Christmas Day. I never did, but I understand that. But I find it odd. But I still think in the end, because its budget was only 122 million. So this thing needs about 300, maybe 350 with marketing to break even, make money. It's going to get there, because the other ones brought what over 500 million, I believe.
No, they made it to like 400 and 450 respectively. Okay. So this one will probably hit $500 million. And it normally, like, these movies have done kind of like a almost even split internationally and domestically. So I think this one will probably get, especially with the holiday weekend, to 250 domestic. So you'll probably see that equaled internationally too for $500 million.
Okay. All right. So it's going to beat Mufasa because
it's going to kick its ass.
Because leading into that, I guess, I can honestly say, and the receipts are there, I said a long time, no one wanted Mufasa. No one wants a prequel. And it was not something that was going to expand the lore of the Lion King, the real Lion King, not the abomination of 2019, but it's only going to retcon stuff. And it did, apparently, from what I
hear. It did. First of all, just for Sonic, it's recommended. Someone asked how Shadow is. We went over that at the beginning, but he's done very well. I thought that he was going to end up kind of like Bane in The Dark Knight Rises for a little bit there, where he becomes this background character and just like this, like someone's dog. But he does not. He is the focal point at the end, and his story arc is great.
The second act, he does kind of start.
Right, that's where I was like, oh no.
He vanishes to the shadows. No pun intended.
I was a little worried.
Is it true in Mufasa that the baddies are the white lions?
Yes, the baddies are the white lions.
The men.
Okay, and what about the actual villain Scar? He's a bad guy, but we find out why he's a bad guy, and
you don't
feel
really
sorry for him or something.
You kind of do. So Scar's thing in that he gets cucked by Mufasa is basically
that's what he
evil.
turns into an incel. That's the big thing.
He's socially. Are we moving on to the light? I guess we are. Fuck it.
Yeah, there we go. I'll just plug that back up for you.
So the basic idea of this movie, and I paid this about 20% attention, 15% of which was me getting really annoyed and having to skip over the musical sections because there's too many of those. So I might get the plot wrong, but the idea is, little Mufasa, he's happy, he's growing up with his family. Then suddenly a flood happens and he gets swept away down a river, and his family don't bother trying to look for him ever. So that's a good start. He meets up with another lion pride, and they have a king, and his son is little baby. Well, we call him Scar, whatever his actual name is Scar. Scar tells us he really wanted a brother always, so they're really happy and they're friends, and like Mufasa is semi-adopted. Stuff happens, and the evil white lions show up and they fight them off. But then evil white lion Alpha, who's played by Hannibal, decides that vengeance is going to be mine. So he starts hunting them, and they have to run away. And there's a pretty young female lion, and young Scar really likes this pretty young female lion, but he's also a social spastic and he doesn't know how to flirt with her. So like he tries, it doesn't work. And then she falls in love with Mufasa, and Mufasa's like, oh no, that's terrible, but okay, I'll bang you. And then Scar gets really upset because his girlfriend has been taken away from him by his brother. And then he tries to lead the evil lions to them to take vengeance. But then toward the end realizes that's a bit of a dick move, and so he saves them. But then they find their way to basically like Lion Nirvana, like a Wimbaway, I guess it's called. And it's just, I can't quite work out exactly what was going on. Basically, they turn up in this promised land. There's loads of animals. They all live happily. The lions are chasing them. And Mufasa's like, to all the other animals, we have to learn to be together and fight off the bad people. And the animals who've been living perfectly happily here for their entire lives decide that, yes, this is definitely our fight. We will serve you as our new king. They scare off the evil white lions. And Scar is not exiled because that would be mean. He's just called Scar because they didn't want to forget the bad thing that he did, and that's kind of the end.
Yeah, the worst part about it is like it's the entire time Scar has no problem at all with Mufasa. Like there's really no cracks in his character. He's a little kind of timid, he's a little pussy, but all at the same time, he's encouraging Mufasa, and he's like at the beginning of the film, the Taka, or Scar's father, is adamant that Taka's going to become the new king. And even though he's kind of a weak link, and the whole time Taka's kind of like, no, like, I shouldn't be. And when he finally gets to the second act and becomes an incel, it's on a dime that he turns. His body language turns, his speech turns, the way he moves completely turns. So him becoming Scar, there isn't even an explanation because there's no build up for his character. It just happens instantly.
I've got a question that I saw in the trailer. Is it true? And I thought I gleaned this from the trailer. Is Timon the one that gives him his scar?
No.
Okay. I thought I saw that.
Mads Mikkelsen, Hannibal, gives him his scar.
Oh, okay. All right. The way they put the trailer together, it looked like in order to make Timon a part of the retcon, have him flying in with a scratching attack, and I guess that's the way they cut the trailer.
No, to get that obnoxious Seth Rogen voice in that movie,
Lord.
it's Rafiki just narrating it to Simba's kid.
So the beginning is the prologue is set way like further forward in time. So you have adult Simba, who sounds like just the most generic American man ever. And I'm thinking, how are you descended from James Earl Jones that you don't sound anything like as impressive as he is? But yeah, it's set in the far future. They go off to have a kid and they leave their young daughter behind, as you do, to be cared for by Timon and Pumbaa. And is it Rafiki? I don't really know the Lion King very well. The monkey guy. He narrates this backstory for the young girl to stop her being scared of a storm that turns up. And then at the end of the movie, she's not scared of the storm. She roars at the storm. And it's a nice little end because Mufasa's face appears in the storm clouds. And Rafiki says, that's because Mufasa lives on in you. Great.
Yeah, and what's really crazy about that, Nerdy Film Girl, is it's still 2 hours long all the same. And it absolutely does not need to be this long. It's absurdly long for the story they're telling. They in essence, they just retold the Lion King story. It's not a new tale. Like it's the same story with a fresh coat of paint. Mufasa is basically Simba. Mads Mikkelsen's basically Scar. And the exact same character beats happen. Like he has to become the king. He falls in love with a girl that's, that looks up to him and encourages him. It's the exact same goddamn story. Like he finds two friends, just like Timon and Pumbaa, that, whoever it is, Rafiki and Zazu. But it's the same tale. It's the exact same story because you can only milk this Lion King IP for like one movie. But why not? Why not just remake it essentially and call it a prequel and have the characters renamed?
Sounds lazy.
It is. It's the quintessential cash grab, and everyone could smell it a mile away because I don't know if anyone remembers, but the movie that the movie that came out before it opened to $191 million domestically, and this opened to 35. Wow. So I think audiences are definitely smart to this one. They know what's going on.
$200 million budget.
Yeah.
More, if you probably more. I mean, but yeah, this thing's gonna lose so much money.
It's such a wasted idea as well. I mean, I did predict before this came out that after, say, like the second week when it was bombing, they would just take that title slate you see there and they would make the words The Lion King much bigger and Mufasa much smaller in a bid to try and drum up a bit more interest, because I genuinely think that might have worked. It would have opened to a higher box office if they had done that, and I still think they will eventually. Maybe when it goes to Disney Plus, they'll swap the size of the fonts around. But I mean, it doesn't look. It doesn't look terrible in terms of the just innate quality of the CG. You can tell that it's an expensive production. What does make it look terrible is that the photorealistic style for this has always been a bad idea. There is a reason animation exaggerates and anthropomorphizes all of its characters. You can do that with the charming old style animations, and you can't do it if your goal is to be photorealistic. So when, Scar's body language changes and his voice changes, the only thing they can really do is have him inexplicably change posture because they can't give him facial expressions. And everything then just looks incredibly flat. There's a reason that old animators went for exaggeration. So it continues the long mistake, in my view, of spending lots and lots of money making CG look as realistic as possible.
But that's the mistake they made in the first one, right? Because everybody said
same
that
mistake made again.
there's no expression on the animal's face, so they can't emote.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Lance
they
is here,
try.
everybody.
It's what's up, Lance?
Hey,
they
sorry I'm late.
You're all good, dude. But they definitely tried to up their game with this one. They do emote a little more, but there's this uncanny valley. There's this hollowness to this beauty. Like, it is beautiful to look at, but it just feels kind of soulless and empty.
Question about the voice acting. What's the quality of the voice acting? I mean, passable? Because I see this stuff, and I know from the original live action one they made, how everything was a downgrade from the original classic. I mean, how do you not get Jeremy Irons to return for any of this stuff to be Scar? Because a part of, in my opinion, when you do this kind of stuff, if you're relying on CGI heavy, if you're relying on voice acting and CGI emoting, you need quality voice work. So get the best, not get half-assed stuff. And I think that's probably where this stuff falls down, is you don't even have people who are good at what they're doing from the acting perspective. Because you can emote with your tone, but you have to be really good at what you do.
The voice acting's totally fine. What I actually found was really frustrating was I constantly couldn't tell who was who. I really couldn't. No, I was just like, because all the voices sound relatively similar, and then they all look similar too. At least in the animated film, they had different shades and different actual, like, I can tell the white lions apart, but that was about it. Between Taka and Mufasa running around, it was really hard to distinguish often who was who.
What about the actual characters themselves? Could you tell who is who? I mean, every line looks the same to me. I mean, I don't mean that as a racist.
You racist against lions. You are zoo.
I was about to say something, and you did it for me.
Yeah, but could you tell the difference between? could you tell the difference between each character? Could you, or is it always
minimally?
Easy? All right.
Up to a point, yeah, but then also there's the question is how much it really matters. They're not particularly well drawn characters anyway. You can basically tell the difference from about the halfway point, just about between Mufasa and Scar, just because of the way they walk, and one of them has a slightly lighter color palette, and that's it. Because they're the only two male lions on screen for that large part of the movie. There's only them and the apparently sexy female lion who just looks like a female lion, and like all the other female lions come to that. So I don't really know what they see in her, but apparently she's a catch.
It's the way she smells. Remember?
Oh yeah, she smells of flowers or something. Yeah.
Not
that only Mufasa can tell.
Not of poo, then. No,
very
just
flowery
flowers.
piss that she has there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a hard not recommend, I would say.
Like,
if you want to see this movie, just watch the original film, because it's it's the same movie.
The cartoon.
Watch the cartoon.
Yeah. I had that thing way back in the day when it was still VHS, and Disney was putting out the big old plastic thick VHS that they put on their own VHS.
Yeah, clamshell.
The clamshell. Yeah, clamshell. Exactly. Yeah. That I had that back then. I watched the hell out of the original Lion King when I was a kid, and I've never understood this, with the exception of one movie out of the whole Disney live action spree. The only one that is of any quality, and I attribute that to the direction and the casting, is Cinderella. We had Branagh directing it, and you had a really great cast with Lily James, Cate Blanchett, and Helena Bonham Carter. That was a truly beautiful movie. Everything else since then has just been dog water. All of it.
You could say dog shit. It's allowed.
Okay. Dog shit.
Dog water?
It's a phrase that one of my friends uses. I was just being safe. Didn't know.
Right.
Not my channel.
You know what? One thing I will say. All the spin-offs of Lion King have all pretty much been bad. Though the one that I do actually kind of have a reverence for is 1.5, where it's the alternate version of the first one from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective, and they just they're the ones that are fucking everything up. That one's funny. It's not particularly great, but it's at least kind of silly and fun, and it was just done with extra scenes and stuff that they had. The rest of them are all pretty bad, though.
They did like 2 different shows on what used to be Disney Channel back during the 2010s. The Pride there's the movie, the second movie, The Pride of Sin, but then the Pride Patrol. There's like Pride Patrol or something like that. It's
also the Lion Guard was another one.
That's it. Lion Guard. Yeah. That's it. Lion Guard. Yeah. Talk about they milked that franchise long ago. Nobody cared outside the first movie, but it's just this is, like you guys said before, cheap money grabs, but the money isn't there because the audiences aren't interested.
Yeah, I think they thought the first movie made so much money that even with law of diminishing returns, there's no way that they wouldn't be able to break even, and they just got a huge surprise.
Do we have box office figures for this at all?
It only opened at 35 million domestic versus the
it's right there on the slide in between the two.
A lot of people are waking up now from this nonsense. I saw one video on, I think it was on YouTube, where this woman was talking about that TV show with who's that? Oh, Jesus, it's gone out of my head. But they're noticing things in TV shows as well as movies now, so they're waking up. So I'm not surprised that this film's gonna flop big time. And who wrote it anyway? Who wrote the damn thing?
I have no idea.
I could look it up. Give me a second.
But all I kept hearing too was how the director choice was inspired. Okay.
Who directed it? Who directed
it? Barry Jenkins directed it. The writers are Jeff Nathanson, Linda Wolverton, and Irene Meshi. 3 writers, no less.
Yeah. The one main one seems to be Jeff Nathanson. That seems to be the one that's credited as the number one.
Well, who wrote the original Lion King? Because that's who really wrote this movie.
Shakespeare.
You mean the original Lion King, or the because he also wrote the one from 2019.
Well, I meant the cartoon. Facetious.
So I'll just read. He doesn't have a particularly long filmography.
That's why.
He's Speed 2, Cruise Control, Rush Hour 2, Catch Me If You Can, The Terminal, which actually isn't a bad movie. The Last Shot, Rush Hour 3, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Tower Heist, Dead Man Tell No Tales. That's the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And then Lion King, the 2019 version, and Young Woman in the Sea from earlier this year. I don't know.
That's the Daisy Ridley swimming across.
That was the Daisy Ridley one. Okay, yeah.
Well,
so that's
if you're writing
his whole filmography.
I feel like if you're writing this movie, you're set up to fail anyway.
Yeah.
So, what are you really going to do?
Definitely set up to fail if you wrote Crystal Skull. I mean,
hey, he wrote Catch Me If You Can. That movie's a banger.
We have a couple of fairly large super chats that came through. So
it is Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, one of them is from two of them from the same person, from our favorite sub game. Let me hold on. It's changed around here a little bit.
I think I know what game you're talking about.
It's the casting couch. Let me get rid of the this stupid shit.
Our good friend Toivo Korhonen for 50 fake bucks. That's okay. We'll take it all the same. Merry Christmas to you all. Another festive casting couch. You have these 5 actors and these 5 roles. You do the casting. The actors are Rowan Atkinson, Scarlett Johansson, Jack Gleason, Tessa Thompson, and Jeremy Clarkson.
What are the
roles? If I can remember all these, the roles are Mr. Freeze, Ebenezer Scrooge, main character in a Christmas rom-com, coked out Princess Leia in a Christmas special, and villain in the next Die Hard.
That's mean. All right.
And because I have some characters to spare, Purple Monkey Dishwasher.
Okay, so I'll pull up the. Yeah, I'm gonna keep. I'll keep flipping back and forth. That way we kind of. Yeah.
Skull Tovo, because that's a Scandinavian name. It's got to be.
I have
probably
mispronouncing it the whole time.
So I'm just gonna keep going back and forth between the two, so people can see the different roles and stuff.
Scarlett Johansson would make the hottest Mrs. Freeze ever.
It's got to be Ryan Atkinson as Ebenezer Scrooge for me.
That works.
He's kind of played him already. In a Blackadder Scrooge take.
I mean, Tessa Thompson always looks coked out or like on something anyway, so she could easily be the coked out Princess Leia in the Christmas
Jackie
special.
Gleason would make a good Scrooge, actually. He'd be a good Scrooge.
I guess it leaves Jeremy Clarkson as a Die Hard villain.
I mean, that works out perfect.
It does work. The line delivery would be epic. So,
and every time there was a car chase, they would cut to the camera inside the car, and he would explain everything about the car.
It would be a farm tractor chase, the first ultimate farm tractor chase in cinema history, not counting Footloose, of course. That's a collision.
So most of these are actually related to what we were talking about anyway. So I guess we'll just go through them all,
Yeah,
but
sure.
we'll do this one first because this is a
Whoa! We need like a clap for this one. Everybody.
We do.
Yeah, I'll look into getting some sound effects for.
Yeah,
for
we
this
need some
kind of
sound
stuff.
effects instead of. Yeah.
Let me see what we got. Hold on, let me see. We might have something. Here.
Oh.
Okay. That'll do. Yeah, that works.
It sounds like pain. That's what it sounds like.
Spectre Von Baron for $100. Thank you very much, sir. Platoon, this is actually for you, so I'll let you take it over.
It's actually for somebody called Plateau, but I'll take it because it's close. It's close enough.
That's an up and coming YouTube channel.
I should sue. I send this red super because I am concerned and because you are awesome. Why, thank you, and so are you. I think Leslie Headland is a legit clinical psychopath. All the coverage people have done on her interviews and how she acts makes it seem very clear. Is there anything that can be done? I think just keep absolutely review bombing absolutely everything she makes for all time ever, so it loses loads of money and she eventually never gets employed ever again. Possibly investigate a little bit more of the Harvey Weinstein connection. That could be fun. Maybe you can sort of rustle up some criminal charges there somewhere. No, just carry on shitting on her productions. I think is probably the safest bet.
It's a squarehead.
Just remind everybody that Acolyte was canceled because it was too expensive and nobody watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should keep making it.
What a surprise, eh? Jeez.
I want to admit 37,000 seasons of that show.
I could handle it, but I like the meltdowns even more. I like it that they lost it, and they're so angry. Did you see they put out Star Wars Twitter channel put out the 2024 Star Wars 24, and they left Acolyte out of the imagery, and they're all melting down over that. They're you racists and you bigots at Disney. How dare you leave it out? And my reply has been, this is the same company you've been knob gobbling for 12 years. It's the same thing. You loved them 5 minutes ago. Nothing's changed.
So the question is Disney changing?
No.
For the better?
No.
Or do I?
Every time they take a step forward, they take two back. So.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have. I mean, they legitimately won with Inside Out 2 and Moana right now. Moana's making money. They got wins. Great. I believe they got those wins because they were hands off on both those projects. And they're
going to make a lot more wins than that.
Oh, they're not going to get them. Mufasa, we already just talked about that. We've got Black Fall and Captain America coming out in February. That's going to be an ouch. And then the glorious Rachel Zegler-led Snow White in March.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
That's going to be dull for you guys, isn't it?
Oh, I'm so giddy. And did you catch the hit? Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, you'd think that they would release that. That's got Christmas movie written all over it if it was a good movie. You know, traditional Disney, cute dwarves and all that kind of stuff. It's got like a Christmas vibe. So maybe not a traditional Christmas movie. So the fact that they've pushed it to March is, which ain't a great time to release a film unless you're trying to get a contender in for the Oscars. I think that's a bit late. That's a weird time to drop that movie.
And they stealth released another trailer the other day. And
they released another one?
And this is a screen cap we got from him when we were reviewing it on a different show. If you could share that, please. Look at that.
Oh, God.
Look at that. That's
she
thumbnail.
looks like Jack Nicholson in The Shining when he's frozen.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
someone should do a fan
to the Overlook.
So, go ahead, take a screenshot, use it. It's going to be glorious.
Is she the evil queen?
Come play with us, Danny.
Is she the evil queen? No.
She's evil.
All
Snow
woke
White.
and no play makes Cinderella a dull princess.
Oh,
she'll be wearing red and everything as a revolutionary. It's gonna be great.
Oh God. Oh, you guys are gonna have a good time watching that one and making gold out of that one on YouTube, aren't you?
Do my
so
best.
There you go.
Yeah, with Captain America and Snow White coming out, I might just take January off and recharge and come in all guns blazing for February.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. Yes, and Militant Daisies became a YouTube member.
Wow.
Welcome.
Tom Waiting for $4.99. Suddenly being a Sonic fan is less lame and gay when you compare it to other franchises. Are you referring to my video? Because that's exactly what I did. Oh God. ZG for $10. Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas. Thanks all for a year of entertainment and interesting discussion. Cheers. Cheers to you, sir. Or madam. Or whatever.
All of the things.
All the things. Taker 610 for $2. EFAP called Shadow Edgy the Hedgy. Mm-hmm. Wolfsbane for $2. In my opinion, Sonic 1 was good, 2 was okay, and 3 was great.
3 was better than the other 2. I've got to see it.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I thought 3 was the best one.
I think with the Sonic movies, it's kind of your favorite flavor of ice cream. They're all kind of do the same thing, just with a little different. Like they emphasize different aspects of it. Like this one is a
movie did a great job with Sonic, and then the second movie did a great job with Knuckles, and now we got a great job with Shadow. So. Our TNZ, our good friend for a New Zealand 5. Merry Christmas, boys. Chuck Norris can punch you with his feet and kick you with his hands. Cheers. Yeah.
Last one for now.
Jeremy Soden for $5 fake dollars. Merry Christmas, all. Happy to have discovered BSUP this year, and we are happy you discovered it as well, sir.
Okay.
What's the next on the agenda, sir?
I guess we got to talk about this bad boy.
Yes.
Oh, he looks very soft. It's true. He doesn't.
He has a
manly at
Snapchat
all.
filter on, doesn't he? He's got a
for God's
Snapchat
sake.
filter on.
I have lots of problems with this trailer. Loads.
Yeah, too many characters, too many villains, too much going on. It's a Superman movie. It's not a Hawk Girl or Tortoise Man or whoever those fucking other characters are. It's a Superman film, you know? Just have Superman in it, maybe Lex Luthor, maybe one villain. But why do we need all these other characters? It's confusing as fuck. There's never enough time to develop the characters that there are. This is like already going down the road of Tim Burton's Batman 2. You know, this is not good.
That was the bit that concerned me slightly as well, I must be said, because I didn't mind the trailer overall. I saw some discourse around beginning the trailer with Superman seemingly a bit of a damaged wreck and what that's supposed to be saying. That to me just tells me that we're going on a story of redemption and optimism, which I think would do the movie the world of good. But I did look at some of these characters coming in and like, well, hang on a minute. We had a story there. We had the main character. We had the main villain. Who the fuck are all these people? Why did the guy shooting the laser? Why did his mum cut his hair? Is that his villain origin story?
His name is Guy Gardner, and it is comic accurate. And I would suggest don't put that.
The color is a little.
I would have gone with the
accurate.
buzz cut. They should have gone with the buzz cut, Guy Gardner, not bowl cut.
I think he's supposed to elicit the reaction you're getting out of him. I think it's for two reasons. He's kind of a dick, so like you're not supposed to like him. So it's like, and I say kind of. He's always a dick in the comics. And
the problem I've got with this trailer is a lot of stuff. I hate his costume. I think his costume sucks. You see that first shot where he's lying in the snow. It looks like he's got those pull-ups that you get in the cosplay boots. It really looks awful, and also. The cast, okay? This guy doesn't look manly enough to play Superman. He looks soft. Are they complying to what the agenda is today? It feels like it when you look at the stuff. When you look at Lois Lane, her hair's not even combed. She's not dressed feminine. You know, she if you look at Margot Kidder, her hair is all nice and shiny. She's dressed feminine and kind of like a suit for the time. And you look at her, I don't know. It just feels wrong to me, this trailer. There's loads of little red flags that go right across this trailer for me. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it does.
Dark Hour, wouldn't you say that this image right here looks like a John Romita Jr. drawing? He looks like he was drawn by this guy, doesn't he?
Yeah. It does honestly look like one of those hyper realistic pen drawings you see from time to time. Everything everyone's saying though is legitimate criticism. I mean, there's
this trailer had one job for me at least. I didn't go into this expecting it to be great. My bar was very, very low, and it didn't even cross it. But it had one job: give me faith in James Gunn being able to pull this off, and it didn't move the needle. Geek just said a second ago, all my red flags that I had going in are still there. You mentioned them. Too many people, too many heroes. Too many villains. Are we going to talk about crypto? I mean, we can talk about crypto. I don't have a problem with crypto existing. I have a problem with how they're using him immediately. Because to me, it's James Gunn being quirky. And that's what James Gunn does, but quirky doesn't go with Superman. And also, when Superman, and I'm sure we've all heard right now, he got Yamcha'd in that opening scene. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
He got Yamcha'd hard. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I've heard this from myself and my own reaction. I heard it from people I've talked to. I would have wanted to see Clark get up on his own, not be dragged along by crypto back to the Fortress of Solitude, I guess. I don't know. But this whole thing has a feeling of James Gunn being self-indulgent on what he likes and not what we as fans want to see. And that includes choosing Guy Gardner. That includes, and I'm going to say it, that includes going with Reincarnation Hawkgirl. That's not Thanagarian Hawkgirl. That's not Shire Hall, Thanagarian Hawkgirl. And so that means that's a major power grade down. Dropping in Metamorpho, having now I'm okay with a kaiju, but I'd like to know what's going on there. Whether it's know it's not
you and me both.
I mean, but we know Ultraman is. Can I talk leaks here? That the rumors? Am I allowed to do that? Are we okay with that? Okay.
Yeah.
They're out there in the public. Yeah.
Okay, so they dropped these leaks months ago that the Ultraman is not the Ultraman from the comics, which is an alternate reality Superman, but this one's going to be clone Superman grown in the lab by Lex, and then by the end of it, the rumors are it's going to turn into Bizarro by the end of it. And it's just, what are we doing in this movie? And I have a quote here from James Gunn. A lot of the trailer is in the beginning. There are a couple moments that are from later in the movie. So that means let's say 80% of this trailer is from the first act. Wow, that's a chaotic first act. If I can just guess at what everything's going on there.
But they made the mistake last time with trying to cram everything in. Like when they did the Justice League and stuff, they were trying to catch up with Marvel. You'd think they'll learn from that and have a solo Superman movie. Why? I understand the Green Lantern because they made a TV show, The Green Lantern. I'm assuming Guy Gardner's in that. So maybe allow that. But everything else, I don't understand why they cram in so much in and trying to make this universe up and running before they're flying before they could walk, basically. That's what they're doing. And what I would love to have seen in this trailer, Superman flying, like a shot of him flying. I always say this, the best shot in Superman 78 was the bit where he flew where the girls are in the office and he flies by. That's all done manually. That's all wires. It looks so great. But when you see him flying this, you can tell it's CGI and it's just a blip in the sky. It's like, can I see the beauty of him flying, please? Especially in this trailer. Nothing. That's what I'm saying. There's something wrong with this trailer. I just hope the film is really good. But this trailer for me, it didn't do nothing for me, this trailer. Sorry to say, but
It's a fair criticism, of it. It did everything. So I think everybody pretty much agreed there was just too much going on for the most part.
And the problem is we don't even know what the story is yet. I mean, all we can do is it's all guesswork.
It is a teaser. Yeah. I mean, I said in my video of this that we have to pump the brakes on the concept of like they're not going to give us much in the first teaser trailer. If anything, actually, I think that this as a teaser might have been a little too much. Even I would have just liked to see the one scene. That's it.
20, 30
seconds, not 2 minutes.
The best shot in the trailer is when he saves the girl. The girl. That's the best shot in the trailer for me. That's Superman. That's the message of Superman. I love that bit. I thought that bit was great.
That's the best moment. You're right. Yeah.
Then there was just too much going on, and it felt like a setup movie for Justice League or something. And I thought, I just want a standalone good Superman film. I don't need all this set up and 3 end sequences mixed in with the credits to suggest other movies are coming. Just get one movie right. That would be really good, and then we can go from there. So I mean, jury's out until I've seen it.
I agree on that. We can't pass judgment until we get a story trailer, until we see the actual thing. And I agree. I don't want this to be bad, but I'm not convinced right now because James Gunn is
really good.
James Gunn is one gear ensemble. And this hasn't proven to me that he can go beyond that. Now they're starting to shoot Millie Alcock's Supergirl next month. They begin production on that. And one of the final rumors were that she shows up at the end of the movie. So if they're going into production next month, I feel like that means they've already done her suit, and that means she's gonna she's ready to go.
I thought Super Pooch would be the next movie because that's already set up in the trailer. The Super Dog movie. Is that not happening?
But even the casting for her, she looks weird, man. Why can't we have a hot Supergirl?
How can we have an adult-looking Supergirl? We all call
Yeah,
it looks like a
well,
little girl.
That is
I don't know.
controversial. Lots of people like Millie Alcock. She was very good in
No,
House of
she looks
Dragon.
weird. Yeah, I don't know. I just
Young. She looks young.
just
That's my
weird.
thing.
How
She looks
old is she?
weird.
Well, it's
I don't.
Supergirl, not
23.
Superwoman.
I
to be
think she's
fair.
23.
I mean,
23.
age-wise, she doesn't look that age. That's probably one of the big problems. She doesn't. She
Mm.
looks like she's 15 or 16.
I
I mean, I haven't
she
seen her in a while, but
I didn't say she wasn't pretty. I just said she looks young. And if we're putting Supergirl, who can be very easily sexualized, can we not lean towards teenage lusting? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Can we
you're
put
right.
a woman in it. Put a woman in
Yeah.
it.
I mean, look at Helen Slater. I mean, she
Yeah.
was perfect as Supergirl, but she was a woman, let's face it. So, but do you think the agenda's fine for this? Because I noticed that a white guy throws something at his head. It isn't a black guy, and they've got Black Perry White as well, which I totally against.
well, this crowd here that's like protesting him is very super diverse. It's a little blurry here, but I mean, yes,
Yeah.
the white guy throws something down, but there is every possible person is represented there if you look closely.
Yeah.
If you sort of combine it with some of the quotes that James Gunn has come out with, my guess is actually that they will go out of their way to try and make sure that every bad thing is as universal as possible. So that you've got the crowd scene here, which again, yes, is charmingly, admirably diverse in order to avoid being seen to be putting that kind of message content in. You know, James Gunn has come out publicly and said that he thinks everybody, no matter what their politics are, they are just trying to get along and get by and make a better world. And that will probably be, I think, the theme of the movie. So if you see any like race conscious casting, I think it will be to make that point as opposed to the one we're a little bit tired of seeing where like only white people do bad things and only black people do good things. Well, I wouldn't be too concerned about that because James Gunn, for all in his personal life, he might be a bit of an oddball and he might have said some political things himself, does know roughly what it takes to put on a crowd-pleasing film, and he knows what not to do to put on a crowd-pleasing film. If there is one director I could trust to make a fairly shallow but generally enjoyable, like all-inclusive superhero movie, it would probably be James Gunn. It wouldn't necessarily be a good movie, but I don't think it'll be an offensive one.
It's hoping. It's hoping.
Yeah,
They're playing a lot of the beats from Guardians 3, for example. You know, Guardians 3, I thought was not a particularly good movie, but you know, it had the low-hanging emotional fruit that James Gunn knows how to play with. It's got, you know, the nice cute animals because cute animals are a fast track into people's emotions. You can basically tell, well, my guess, at least from what we've seen in the trailer, is that you have the opening, you have a bunch of sort of like super villain type characters causing a mess. Superman gets blamed. Nobody likes or trusts him. He gets shot away. He loses a fight. And the only person who's still loyal to him is the dog. But the dog's faith in him is the thing that inspires him to get up. And then over time, he sees that many people in the world still have faith in him. And then he rises to his full stature and saves the world. That would be the basic plot skeleton I would imagine based on that trailer and what I know about what James Gunn writes. If we see something markedly different from that, I'll be surprised.
I think you're right. That's what the trailer's actually saying, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know. I just don't like this guy. What's his name? Cole Sweat?
His last name bothers me.
Cole? Yeah, it is weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's probably
Cole
supposed to
Sweat?
be pronounced with like a French accent. It's probably supposed to be like Cornsway, but because
Is he British?
Like no, I think he's American.
He's American.
No, he's American. He's American.
Yeah, but I think that it's supposed to be pronounced with a French accent, but because he's American, we just don't. That's probably it. Cold Sweat.
I thought it was Cold Sweat. I don't think it is somehow. I don't know. Cold Sweat. Yeah, there you go. I just don't like him. I just don't think he's
the trailer's
Superman.
not quite as inspiring as the poster the day before it was.
Yeah. It was watched to fucking hell though. It has 40 million views, so it was.
I think that means a lot of people have hope for Superman.
Yeah.
They want it to be good.
Yeah, it better be.
I mean, would we agree this is probably like the last hope for the superhero genre at this point? Nobody believes that Marvel is coming back anytime soon. If there's going to be one good superhero film left, it's got to be Superman. If this doesn't do well, then that's probably it, right?
It is it. They're done.
I'm glad nerdy film girl thinks he's hot. But again, right, I always have to refer to the 78 version. And 78 version, as far as I was concerned, it's not a perfect film, but Chris Reeves is the perfect Superman, as far as I was concerned. And I can't get that out of my head when I look at this guy. And maybe I'm just old. Put it that way.
I think he might
address
just
what
be old.
Yeah,
to address what
probably.
Platoon just said, I don't. So there is always the one that I think can still work. If this fails, there's always Batman always seems to succeed. So I don't think it's necessarily the end of comic book movies. It's definitely I think this will be the end of shared universes. I think they will just if this doesn't work and this whole building around everything fails, they're just going to go with standalone films going forward that are not fast tracked to be connected to one another and all this stuff, which is probably the route they're gonna have to go either way. Or at minimum, they're gonna have to taper it back in a little bit, because if anything gets as crazy as the MCU did, where you have to watch 7 movies and 3 TV shows just for this one, people are kind of over that. I think it ran its course.
It was cool for 10 years.
Yeah.
It was novel for that period of time, and now it's just exhausting.
You also need real writers to do this stuff, to make it work, and to make it to continue to bring people back into it. And if you can't have compelling writing and good stories and characters you care about, who's going to come back? And while I approve that they're not doing another 2-hour origin story, I don't know about Gunn's approach of just dropping us into the middle of it where it is here, with saying, oh, he's established, it's a living world, I want all these characters to know they have friends and enemies, this and that. But you still need to kind of work up to that. You can't just drop it in, and you can't just drop in characters that people are, for the most part, unfamiliar with. I guarantee 90% of the normie public has no idea who Metamorpho is. I guarantee.
Yeah, but I mean, we already did this with Spider-Man, and it worked totally fine. Like, we didn't need the new or like a redo of the origin for Tom Holland Spider-Man. We just kind of dropped him in with the suit within 5 to 10 minutes of his introduction, and everyone was happy. And I don't want to see another fucking Superman origin story. I am good.
No, I don't mean that. I just mean, can we? I still keep leaning towards there's just too many people, and I worry it's going to be an ensemble movie and not a Superman movie. So
I think the casting's weird. I mean, they cast. You ever watch The Mentalist? They have this character in The Mentalist who's like big and fat and looks weird, and he has like a lazy eye, and he just looks creepy. And the whole way through the show, he was creepy. They cast him as Superman's father. I'm like, what? Why have they done that? You know, he's meant to be inspirational, yet he's overweight and looks weird and has a lazy eye. So I don't understand that kind of casting personally.
It's inspirational. He somehow became a successful farmer despite all of his disability.
In spite of that.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I kind of agree. So I went over a lot of this on Open Bar last week, but they could have got away with. I think if there was one character they could have got away with, I would have made, personally for me, I would have made it Green Lantern Hal Jordan, or anyone besides Guy Gardner, to be honest with you. And the only reason why he's there is because he's already exists, but he covers an entire region of the universe, so he can't always be on Earth. That would be a great little, I'm here, hey, cool, you're here. I'm gonna go take care of other things, you deal with this. That would actually be a great little way of doing that. And then introducing, oh, there's the Green Lantern Corps, they exist, there's a show. The other ones are just too much. There's just way too much going on. And
sorry. My
time. No, go ahead. All of our timing is off because of the internet lags and stuff.
What you said though, there's the Green Lantern show where you will have Hal Jordan and John Stewart. Problem is, one of the fears I've heard, and I kind of lean into this, that they're going to use Hal Jordan to try and put over John Stewart, but you don't need that. John Stewart's already a badass and beloved. You don't need to use Hal Jordan to raise up John Stewart. At the same time, you should have used a favorite in this movie. I think a lot of us might have maybe not been so, and I'll say been out of shape at seeing Guy Gardner. Nothing against Nathan Fillion. We love Nathan Fillion. I also think he's too old for the role. I think it doesn't look it. But bring in somebody that would make it easy for us to be okay with an extra body in there. Oh, it's Hal. Oh, or it's John. Okay. We like them. We're going to immediately feel attracted because we know they're going to be friends with Superman. They're not going to be antagonistic, likely, at least in the beginning, probably, that Guy Gardner will be. But then you mentioned it, the whole universe thing going on. They just greenlit the Clayface movie. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere.
Oh, no. Did they really?
Yeah. So we're getting a Clayface movie, a villain, and we still don't have a Batman movie James Gunn's Batman movie is at least 4 or 5 years away. We don't know when this thing's happening. And let's not even get
while you're
James
telling
Gunn
us
in
good news, did you hear they've also greenlit the 3rd season of Rings of Power?
That was expected. I was gonna
Good.
They prepaid for 5 seasons. It was gonna happen, but it'll be I think there's an escape latch clause after that. I think they pulled the plug after the 3rd season.
Wow.
Keep renewing bad shows, please.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with them renewing that.
Good for YouTube.
Let's see. We got some. If there's any super chats here here's one that's kind of funny.
Taker 610 for $2. Hawk to a Girl ruins the Hawk Girl character.
Who's playing Hawk Girl? Does anyone know?
Looks like CGI to me.
She's been in something. I don't know what
it's the girl from she was in Madam Web, Isabella Merced, however you pronounce it. She was in Madam Web, she was in Alien Romulus.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Merced.
Merced, yeah.
Kendra Saunders is her character name.
Should just have been Superman. That's what it should have been.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Maybe bring someone in the last scene if you want to set something up for the end, but don't put them in the trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just all of these things are spoilers as well of themselves. So they could have not showed us any of those characters and they could have all been surprises, which maybe would have been at least interesting. But man, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it may turn out to be really good.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, obviously, I'm being very negative about what I've seen, but I'm just hoping that the film will deliver, and I can come out smiling, coming out the theater smiling, rather than coming out frowning.
If I'm wrong, I'll say
great actors in it. There's some great cast in this film.
But there is the caveat that even if it's a good movie, this thing's over $300 million in budget. It might be a financial disaster, even if it's a good movie.
Yeah,
it's 2 separate things, but that's a reality that must be put into the whole equation.
That's what's so strange. There's never been a major financially successful Superman movie besides, the original one in the 70s. There just hasn't. The most successful one was Batman versus Superman, and that obviously was because Batman was in it.
But because they haven't. The last Superman was terrible, right, Matt? Was it?
And it was terrible. Yeah, it was really bad.
The idea that he would just tell his father would tell him not to save his life. That just for me, that destroyed the movie for me.
That was rubbish.
The whole point of the father dying so that he can discover that he can't, even though he's powerful, he couldn't even save his dad, because he had a heart attack. That was the whole point, and they took that away. Thank you, Zach. Do you know what I mean? It was just a terrible movie.
I feel remiss if we don't bring up the renewed Snyder Bro anger.
I saw that. Holy shit!
They woke up in force, and they are angry, at least on social media. And listen, if you like Snyder, fine. I don't hate all of it. I don't really love it, but you got your win. You got the Snyder Cut. Just be happy. Stop trying to say it's going to come back, because when you start screaming now, especially in this current environment where you're screaming, "Restore the Snyderverse," you're starting to sound like Acolyte fans.
Just a quick factual correction, because you said they woke up. That's not strictly accurate. What somebody did is they pressed the on button and then they all took the Twitter.
They activated the Snyder bots.
I stand corrected.
The problem with Snyder is he doesn't know how to tell a good story. He
concentrates or write good characters.
Oh, right, yeah. He concentrates
or shut the hell up.
Yeah, that's it.
Can't do anything
too much on the effects. That's what he does. Concentrate too much on the effects and the explosiveness of within the story. He concentrates too much on that. But he doesn't look and see that things don't make logical sense. That's his problem. So anyway, that's one of his problems. Put it that way.
One of many.
One of many. Yeah.
Let's see, what do we got here for this is a new member, so that's a quick one to do.
David Smart became a YouTube member.
Welcome.
Welcome.
This one's related.
Ruddy for $2 fake bucks. Ultraman and Bizarro will wear a red hat. Nationalism.
That's such a weird addition, by the way, because like Ultraman, so that's Earth 3 Superman. He's the he's actually gets stronger from kryptonite in the comics. It's like a weird reversal thing, and he's supposed to be the like personality wise the opposite, and it's weird that they would bring that and not save that for a later thing. That seems like a ideal thing you'd want to save for down the line. a Superman that gets stronger with the weakness of the previous one. That's just, I don't know.
RRTNZ for a New Zealand $10. Oh God, I just said Zed. I'm becoming British.
Because you are.
Nobody's paid you for that yet. We have to pay for you to be British.
Superman being bloody at the start is Gunn directly addressing that Superman's too overpowered and boring crowd, right, Cynic? Yeah. Well, I certainly enjoyed this trailer more than anything Zack Snyder pumped out. There is a quintessential Superman moments. I didn't read that. There is a quintessential Superman moment equals saving the little girl. Indeed.
Yeah.
It took after, All-Star Superman type of deal. And that's a very hopeful Superman comic. So
I pulled that up on FNT on Friday as well, which is that you could theoretically have had a trailer which is just Superman doing Superman things. And I actually think that would have been received worse in the long run. It would be less interesting. People would say, well, it's another superhero film. Also, it's the least interesting thing about Superman as a character. Is the fact that he is all powerful, and if he has no, say, moral bind that you've put him in, then he's basically unstoppable. There are ways to write around that, but if the trailer is just him being awesome, I don't think we'd be having any of these conversations. And the fact that the trailer has evidently garnered a lot of conversation and a huge number of views suggests that the questions it's raising were probably helping it in terms of its marketing. So I don't think it was necessarily a bad strategy. But I've been involved in the making of a couple of trailers. Trailers are always designed to do something like this. They have their own act structure. They're not supposed to tell the complete story of the thing that you're making. And if you plan on more than one, then the overall arc of your multiple trailers is supposed to give an act structure as well. So this is very much setting the groundwork for Superman being vulnerable in order that he can be interesting later. We've seen the state of the world as it is. We've got the hint that there will be something optimistic at the end, but that will probably come to the fore in maybe even the last trailer before the movie releases.
But that's the best thing about the trailers. It doesn't tell you the story. It gives you loads of things to ponder over.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, it isn't a bad trailer at all. Because most trailers you get now tells you the whole bloody film, and you're just sitting there going, why would I watch this film? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the one good thing about this trailer.
Do you think James Gunn's making it worse with his interviews?
Yes, he is. I think
I haven't seen any of them. So
the Variety one, he's talking about Superman represents America, beaten and bloody, and it's how about we just get Superman being Superman, a good guy? How about that? Why must we inject anything?
What? He's truth, justice in the American way.
Yeah, that's about as far as we need to go. Exactly. That's
But
about
they
it.
have-
I actually agree with that, though. What RRTNZ said, and I said that on Open Bar. I said it in my video. I think that is a direct. People have always said that one of the number one complaint overall, for sure, is that everyone's like, he's unrelatable. He there's no stakes in what he does. He's going to succeed, which anybody who reads the comics knows that's not true. But your average person feels that way. And I think that was really just nipping it in the bud right away. Just let's get this out of the way. He's injured. Okay, now we can go. And I think it actually, that of all the things in the trailer, I think that was one of the smartest decisions. They don't show him beat up the whole time. It's not like the whole thing is just him getting punched in the face for 2.5 minutes. It's he actually does some other stuff. I don't think it's a bad trailer, other than the amount of people that they show in it, the amount of characters.
Yeah, too many narratives presented.
What is I stepped away for a minute, so I don't know if anyone discussed the costume and what you think of that.
I don't like it.
Hate it.
I like the trunks being back, but we could hear the lines, the collar that seems to disappear in certain scenes in the trailer. It comes and it goes. So I wonder how many reshoots, combinations went into this trailer. But I don't like the costume. Why can't it be seamless? Why all the grooves? I know it's new.
They based this on. This is clearly based on the New 52 one, which had a lot of embellishments on it.
Which 52 failed as a comic, so there you go. So they're going back to where things failed again. They don't learn.
As long as they don't take the storylines, if they just take, if all they're doing is saying, hey, if Gunn was like, hey, I like the look of that particular costume and I want to use that one for my story, and he's not pulling the stories directly out of the failed ones, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him having a preference for the look of the costume. That's not a big deal to me. I just hope that it doesn't mean that that's the ones he's going to base all this on. Because that was one of the worst Superman runs.
Yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of the red trunks. Like, it does look he looks like Quail Man from Doug.
I guess I grew up with it, so it looks normal to me to see the trunks as opposed to not having the trunks.
But the trunks is wrong. If you if you look at the Chris Reeves trunks and you look at this one looks like he's wearing bathing trunks. You know, you go swimming in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah, it looks like he shit himself and he's carrying a load.
Yeah, it does. It does. It really does. It's really badly designed. You know, again, right, it depends on the person's shape, right? For instance, Chris Reeves has that triangle shape, so he's got those broad shoulders, and then he's got a really thin waist, and then it goes straight down. With this guy, he's got these broad shoulders, but then he doesn't have a thin waist, so
it's just a block.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why this costume doesn't work on him. They need to. Oh, anyway, I give up. I just give up.
I give up.
Yeah.
Tom waiting for $4.99. I want James Gunn's Superman to have the exact same plot as his movie Super.
Oh yeah, that was a good film. You got
that was fun.
That was a good film. Yeah.
My favorite scene in that film is when he's looking for the weapon, and then he just takes the pipe wrench, just smashes the thing. He's like, "That'll do." There will be some problematic. There will be some problematic nature to that. What with the Ellen Page being very involved with that movie.
Well, she got shot in the head. Spoilers. So there you go.
Tom waiting for $4.99 more dollars. Thank you, Tom. 10 more years of people who have only read All-Star Superman and maybe one other comic pretending they're Superman experts. Yes. I will be the first to admit I read All-Star Superman and one other comic, and I just don't like Superman. So, but not pretending to be an expert on that guy by any stretch.
I can one-up you in the incompetent state because I've never read a single Superman comic, and now I'm going to pretend to be an expert anyway, just to annoy people in chat.
But the most important thing is that the film is entertaining. You know, you don't have to read a Superman comic. You know who Superman is, right? You don't have to read one. The film has to be entertaining, and you has to draw you in. And if it doesn't, then then it's going to fail, isn't it? I want this film to succeed. I really do. I just hope it does.
I personally think that a good strong Superman movie and a strong Batman movie it bodes well for cinema in general.
Yeah,
not just the comic book movies.
But you say that, and I don't think James Gunn understands that if you give us those two and then give us World's Finest, that would have been a winner. But he's
or Public Enemies.
That road.
Well, you get the feeling, guys. Do you get the feeling that the overlords are telling him? He goes, make a Superman movie for us, and he goes, yeah, that'd be great. And then they go, well, you know what? We got to have some more heroes in there, And then James Gunn's like, okay. Do you get the feeling that happens? No.
I think it's James Gunn. He likes to make it a crowd. I think that's just his default.
Yeah, I think WB forced their hand a lot with the previous shared universe they attempted. So now they're just like, here, Gunn, you do this. You
okay.
Yeah. They're very hands-on, though, in terms of approving storylines for Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. The Trinity is very much... It's like...
Yet they gave us Batman versus Superman.
I didn't say they make the right decisions. I just know that they're very hands-on. The one
very handsy.
Yeah, the one I said last week was in the Justice League cartoon, which is in the background of Adam's thing right there. They have a whole storyline with the Justice Lords with the white costumes, and those were really supposed to be the costumes that they used in the cartoon fully, and WB put the kibosh on it immediately. They were like, no, you can do it to anybody else, but those three have to have their iconic costumes. You have to do it this way every time that something comes out, because they're very protective of those three IPs. Whether they make the right decisions that's their own problem. But
one of the producers that worked on this film also was an EP on the Batman, the Suicide Squad, and Wonder Woman 1984, and the Meg.
The Meg. Oh shit!
And it's a real mixed bag of movies.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so it is a mixed bag. But Chantal Nongvo, she worked on all of those. Another one of the producers worked on Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Assemble, Suicide Squad, Peacemaker TV series. So there's only 5 producers listed, which is actually a really small number for a film like this. Normally you get like 15 or 20 between executive producers, co-producers, and all that. You've only got 5 for this.
I actually think that's fewer producers than Velma had. I remember being really surprised by the length of the producer and executive producer list in every episode of that, and I think it was more than 5. So maybe we've hit the answer that if too many producers makes for a bad product, maybe.
Yeah, too many cooks. I mean, so if they are a bit more hands off and Gunn's got the helm, maybe he'll come through on this one. But they have all worked on, and he's one of the producers. So him and four other producers, and all the other producers have worked on other superhero shows. But warning, danger, Will Robinson. One of them was a production manager on Rings of Power. So I hope they're not bringing the bad juju with them. But
well, those kind of producers, they just do the job or pull in the money, and that's it, really. I mean, they don't really have any. Well, most of them don't really have any control over it. So I don't know.
It depends, doesn't it? Depends how they got onto the show and whether they brought any money and who they represent. But they've all worked on superhero movies before. Some good, some not so good. So
I think if I were a producer on like a James Gunn movie and I brought in the money, I would not be telling anyone about that because James Gunn might get me sued and sacked. Just the casual Twitter post. You saw the whole thing with the reported budget when he said, "Oh no, that's a lie," or someone just filled in some random numbers. It's an official filing with the state of Ohio. Like that's legally you can't really tell people that you lied about those numbers. You're going to get in trouble if you do that. But that's James Gunn being vocal on Twitter as usual.
I don't follow him, so.
Is it in the 52? I can't remember. Does he have the curl to the left side of his? Because usually it's in the middle, isn't it?
I think that if I recall correctly, it depends on who draws it. It really isn't.
Right.
That just comes down to the illustrator where they decide to put it. It's not really. It may have been. So I didn't read much of New 52 Superman because it's not good. But I'm not remembering specifically. We only have one more super chat for this one, then we could.
ready for $2 fake. Porn sweat, push for the trunks. Pro wrestling.
It does look weird. Again, I would say his costume is a mistake in my opinion. But hey, what do I know?
I do believe we need Lance. You said you only had a little while, right?
I've pushed back my commitment, so I'm good for another 25.
Oh. Okay, fine then. My next.
I felt like really rude just coming in for 45 minutes and disappear. Sorry, I got the times for today wrong, so my apologies. And then I didn't get sent the link until just on the last moment, so I wasn't.
Because the last one I get the times wrong all the time, and it's my channel, and I'm the latest one here usually, so no worries at all there.
Thank you.
I'm
good to hang around for a bit, so
good stuff. What have we got coming up next? Was there anything else that has out or released recently? Trailers wise?
No, I have the trailer for Rebecca Gold here, though. Mega Geeks show. So I mean, believe it or not, I actually did do that for you. So it's not particularly long, so I figure we'll play it and we'll talk about it a little bit.
I'm going to see you if you play it. I'm going to see you.
Okay, well, I will play it.
I've seen it.
Okay, everyone.
She is not your problem. Get to your allocated safe zone and lay low until the curfew is lifted.
Her location, now.
No, I am not authorized to do that.
Is this going to be another session where you sit here in silence? So they erase Miss Roberts' memory of you and the incident. Would you like to talk about her? Rebecca, please, talk to me.
I'm scared of losing her.
Thought the company grid would protect you and your girlfriend?
Time's up.
I kill people. That's what I do.
Very good.
That also needs one of those little soundboard applause things. Maybe not the one that sounds like the guy's in pain, because no, that
see what I can find. Hold on. Oh, here, this one's actually kind of like works for only because it's Ian.
I don't give a shit.
When does it drop, Ian? When can we see it?
I've shot 85% of it so far. The whole point of the trailer was to actually try and, because I'm going to have an Indiegogo campaign out next year to try and encourage people to give me money so I can finish it. But majority of it's almost done. I just got 20% to shoot, which is the beginning.
Do you know when you're dropping the Indiegogo?
Next year.
But
maybe end of Jan, probably.
Well, come on my channel and we'll do a stream about it, and I'll plug it for you because that's what we do. And we support independent creators. We plug their work. So it's, message me on Twitter and we'll sort that out. Absolutely.
For the benefit of people who are not aware, though, obviously Rebecca Gold is the Mega Geek's own personal passion project. Season 1 is available on the Rebecca Gold YouTube channel. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it for people who are not who've not got any knowledge of it at all? What's the premise and why should they watch it?
Well, basically, it's about an assassin who goes on a job and then suddenly, while she's doing the job, she encounters a high school crush. And she has to protect her, and that story goes through the second season as well, but there's little other stories, little sub stories in there as well. We had to change the actress because the original actress that played Rebecca kind of got pregnant, so well, I didn't do anything. So Ella Starbuck, which is her real name, to tell you the truth, she plays Rebecca, and she's taken over the mantle. So I hope it's not jarring when people watch it, because the story continues from there, basically. But it's about an assassin trying to come to terms with the whole situation, trying to come to terms with her job, basically. Because what they do is they erase their minds when they've done a job, so they don't have that emotional thing, but it doesn't work in her anymore. So she has to cope with what she's doing. That's basically what it's about, to tell you the truth. But there you go. Second season's going to be better than the first season.
And I saw you post on Twitter as well that you've only been able to shoot this one day at a time,
yes,
like per month. Is that correct?
Yes. So it's taken us 2 years to get to this point.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if you don't have look, I'm working class, right? I've never been part of the industry. I've always worked in the independent sector. I've always tried to get as a TV director or try and get into the industry, and the door's always been shut for various reasons. So the question is, what do you do when you're in that situation? The only thing I can come up with is money is the problem. Try and find money to make it. So you can't get a crap load of money together and just make it. So I just thought, well, I'll get some money, shoot bits, and just keep going. And thank God the cast stuck with it for 2 years, but the crew's interchangeable, so it doesn't matter about the crew. So we've reached this bit, and we've shot a good substantial amount of it, which I'm really proud of. And we're just going to keep going until we finish it. So
that's incredible that you're able to film it like that, because I would imagine like the consistency that would be a huge hurdle for you.
Well, Rebecca doesn't have a costume change. That's all she wears throughout the movie.
Yeah,
that helps. But what's really good about doing it this way is that sometimes in the script you don't see things. Like, so if you're shooting stuff and then you have to wait for another month, you can actually take stock of what you've shot. And then there's one scene in it where one of the characters there's a fight and one of the characters run away, and then you're like, and I was thinking to myself, well, if that character wouldn't run away, because that character cares about that character, they would stay, and then you rewrite it because of what you shot previously. So that's the advantage you got when you're shooting it 1 day a month. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like if you had to shoot it all in one block, you probably wouldn't have seen it. So that's one of the advantages. Two is also again, with Ella, for instance, who plays Rebecca, she grows as a person, and she gets and then because she's doing it once a month, she suddenly becomes closer to the character, and then her performance gets better and better and better, unlike if they did it in a block. Do you know what I mean? And everybody's rushing, sort of thing. So it kind of works doing it that way. Yeah.
You can do rough cuts of your scenes as you're going along as well, and kind of, you know, see what's missing. And I got a friend shooting a feature film the same way, and he's shooting it over a 2-year period. You know, it's a sci-fi one as well, and he's had to build like sets of spaceships in warehouses and things. And then, you know, 2 months later, you see a video of him redressing that same set to be another spaceship for another empire, and, you know, getting another load of actors along to shoot that bridge scene. And it's the same kind of dedication. If you're an independent creative and you want to make films, and those kind of mighty bastions of the industry are not prepared to pull you up onto the wall, you've just got to find any way you can do it possible, and that's what Ian's doing.
Well,
I
think that the thing that you realize quickly is that nobody gives a shit. Basically, they don't give a shit about what you do. I mean, even the crew don't give a shit as long as they get paid a little bit of money and they come to do something, and they're off on another project. It's all on me. I'm the captain of the ship. If it falls, it's going to be my fault. If it stands, it's going to be my achievement. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, success has many fathers. Failure's an orphan.
Yeah, I guess. But what's funny is that we've got Ella Starbuck and we've got Paul Costa. So, you know, it's either Starbucks or Costas, let's face it. So there you go. So, you know, we got actors with strange names in this series. But, you know, again, it's very difficult to shoot something like this, and I'm really surprised I've gotten this far. So I just hope I can complete it, put it that way. And again, we've had how many?
You will. We
have had 3 DOPs. So, you know, now the first DOP wasn't very good. Second DOP was okay, and the third one I'm sticking with. So, do you know what I mean?
I had 2 on my last feature film, and we had to shoot with 2 different types of cameras, and 2-week shoots a year apart. You know, that's in the independent sector. You come to shoot the next section a year's time. The same DOP wasn't available. I just had to. Fortunately, his AC, we just promoted him, and he took over. So it still looks, you know, it still has
also,
that cohesion.
Another thing that I want to point out is that it started off as an exercise, the first season, and I wanted to write something. I wanted to do someone that was gay, but I wanted to teach Hollywood that it's not all about the sexuality of the character. She just so happens to be gay, right? And everything else that happens is everything else that happens. You know, she's not a Mary Sue. She falls, she gets up, you know, she gets hurt. Do you know what I mean? It's like what they did with they've been doing this. I'm not the original one to do it, but they've been doing this forever. It's like when I saw Indiana Jones, it was prevalent that he wasn't James Bond. He got hurt. Do you know what I mean? He got shot. And he got dragged underneath a truck. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So that's how they should make films. Heroes should fall, and they should stand again. Do you know what I mean? And then win the day. But yeah, I just thought I mentioned that just in case.
One thing that did stand out for me, Ian, was when she threw that punch at that really big dude, she had to jump up.
Yeah.
And he kind of just like tanked it. He just turned his head and turned it back. And I was like, that's accurate. That's what would happen. Yes, it would still hurt, but it's not going to put him on his ass. He's a lot bigger than her, you know?
But when we were doing that fight, that was very prevalent in our mind. You know, there's no way Ella could knock this guy out. Do you know what I mean? And as the fight progresses, that you'll find out. Not going to give.
Oh yeah, spoilers. You don't got to go away.
Do you know what I mean? She doesn't.
First thing that stood out to me.
Yeah, she doesn't have a good time fighting that guy. Put it that way. So, but it's not. It is. There's action in it, but I equate the action to. You ever see Beverly Hills Cop? Beverly Hills Cop's not action all the way, but it does have action sequences in it, and that's the way I equate. Because we can't afford to go action all the way. Put it that way. So that's how I equate Rebecca Gold, you know, the kind of the way it is in Rebecca Gold. But anyway, yeah, James Bond does get hurt, but Roger Moore James Bond never really got hurt. Let's face it.
Yeah, the point was that Indiana Jones, when that comes out in the 1980s, is not going to be like the James Bond that was coming out in the 1980s. You can't really fault it for not distancing itself enough from a James Bond film that came out in the 2010s, because obviously it wasn't out yet. So yeah, characters taking damage is a good thing. Making lesbians great again, that's also a good thing. I'm all for actually good, well-written, attractive people who happen to be lesbian. That's fine. More of those kinds of characters would be great. I very much hope people sit up and take notice, because A, the trailer looks amazing, and B, that's exactly the kind of writing that these characters need. I've actually got a little I haven't got it prepped for this, but I might have a video out tomorrow. I think I've got a little placement in there, advertising the channel for you and the trailer. So hopefully that'll get a few people coming along to take a look, because I think it's worth it.
Yeah, thanks. I just hope that people will enjoy, once it's finished, will enjoy it. You know, everybody's done their best to make it the best we can. I mean, with the very little money that we have, you know. So I just hope people enjoy it.
And Mega, is this well, I don't know if this spoils anything, but is this the final season, or do you have more planned?
No, well, I always, every time I write something, I always leave it open for something. You know, I close it, but it's always, you can tell that it's always open as well. So that's what we've done with this one. It's closed, but it's kind of, if it's successful, it can go elsewhere. I think, you know, because I want more work. So
right.
Yeah, I'm leaving it open slightly, put it that way. So yeah,
but by far my favorite picture from the ones that I picked as that bottom right one. It just, there's some connotation there, Ian. I don't know what exactly you're suggesting.
I'm directing her. I'm directing her. That's what I'm doing.
This is where the third sock goes.
Now listen, if you get pregnant as well, then we're going to
have there's another Rebecca for season 3. People might start talking.
Well, hopefully when it's all done, because like I know Ella wants to do a live stream on it, and the rest of the cast wants to do a live stream. So when it's done, you know, it's open season. We'll go on any show to promote it. So
we can put that together for you. I think I know the guy who handled that stuff, so we can probably put that together.
The show is called Rebecca Gold, and you can find the link in the description right here on this page. It'll link you right to Mega Geek's channel, and the channel is called Rebecca Gold.
Or if you are watching on the re-upload on the BSUP YT, that's the name of the channel, isn't it? Yes. If you're watching on the re-upload channel, the link will also be in the description, so you can check it out there.
Okay. Well, thanks guys for highlighting it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thank you.
The only other slide I have is actually for Lance, who also is promoting something a little bit today. It's more of the reading variety.
I've got something I can show you actually, which will be a little.
If you want, there's this. I put in a QR code for you though, so people can go right to it.
That's great. I mean, cut back to that. So this is my latest book, which is called Silver Screen Journeys. The reason I thought I'd show this bit is so that I wasn't putting Mega Geek through the same stuff I said on Mr. Brown's channel.
Oh no, it's fine.
Done this once already. So basically, what this is this is a journal book of 101 times that I went to the cinema between 1974 and 2024. And the particular entry that you're looking at right now, this is in the last version of the PDF, is about Return of the Jedi. And as a result of seeing Return of the Jedi, I built a massive Return of the Jedi space battle game. So on the right are my collection of Imperial Star Destroyers. This next picture down, that is the 6-foot Super Star Destroyer that I built for that game with my dad.
Nice. What?
Wow.
So the whole point of the book is to illustrate that behind every film I went to see in that period of the 101 plus, I think there's 128 in the book altogether, that I talk about, there is a specific memory attached. And those memories have often led to other things that have happened in my life. So if I hadn't seen the big space battle in Return of the Jedi, I wouldn't have built this ship. This wouldn't have been at Salute 1990, I think it was, which is the biggest games convention in London. And people sat down and they played this game, and I had an Admiral Akbar mask on my head, and I was like, "You can see here," you know, did that whole speech.
Really good.
So while all these families and their kids were walking past there, I've got a picture of me with that Admiral Akbar mask on. So the book is about those kinds of things. I mean, like I talk about Bridge Too Far and how that got me into World War II and led to me ultimately becoming a director and trying to do. That's my grandmother who took me to see the Seawolves with my mum on the left there.
Oh, I love the Seawolves.
And then this is why I'm talking about Bridge Too Far. So this is me on set directing the second unit for Paratrooper, which was, we were trying to get this European version of Band of Brothers. These two Stugs on the left here, they got sold to an American collector. So I got both of them for $3,000 for the day, with the guns firing and all the crews and 15 Germans. And then we had about 16 World War II paratrooper extras, and then I had my 10 cast. So I had about 100 people on set that day for this battle, and one of those tanks broke down in the middle of that road. So, but all of these stories came about as a result of me seeing films. That's the point. And there's me with Alan Tompkins, who was the art director on Bridge Too Far. He was also art director on Empire Strikes Back, Saving Private Ryan, Band of Brothers. His first job was on Cleopatra. Sadly passed away now. I did the main speech at his funeral. I only found out I was doing the main speech at his funeral when I arrived. His wife neglected to tell me that. So I had to run into the bar, get a Swift brandy, and quickly write out a speech. So these are all stories that are attached to these movies. And you know, much further back in the book, you've got the first things that I saw as a kid. That's my model of Arnhem Bridge that I built as a result of seeing Bridge Too Far. In 1/32 scale, that's big soldiers, 20 British people watching who used to collect Airfix figures. So that was at another games convention. So it's the impact that movies have had on my life, not just in my recreational time, but they shaped my chosen career, much as I'm sure was the same for Mega Geek. You know, we watch these films as kids, we grow up with them. They steal huge chunks of time from our life. And I don't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing, but you know, if you become a Star Wars fan and you've watched everything Star Wars, you've bought costumes, you've gone to conventions, you've done all these things, you've got loads of your own stories attached to seeing Star Wars. I'm also, the other thing about this book is I'm also of the time when the cinema experience was very, very, very different. And
me too.
Each chapter in the book is divided into a section of years. And if we go sort of, you know, much further forward into the book, when we're talking about things like Lord of the Rings, by the way, that's the old Empire Screen
Empire,
my
yeah, Screen One.
favorite cinema in London. First film I saw there was Top Gun with my first girlfriend. So you've got the entries in the book are like, this is entry 47 about Top Gun. I talk about the film, but I also talk about what it was like to feel the floor reverberating underneath our feet when the jets went past. That experience, I've never had that in the cinema before.
What about, they used to have the light show before the film started?
Yeah,
as
no,
well
I talk about that.
Empire.
Yeah, I talk about that. That didn't come until Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. That's another entry in the book. No one knew about it. They kept it completely quiet. I took 40 people to see that for my prom because I couldn't make my college prom. So we all went to the opening night of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade in ball gowns and tuxes, and suddenly there's all this green lightning shooting down the walls because there's a laser show in the cinema before the movie starts. All of these stories are in the book. So this book will take you to a time when you went to see films and there was an atmosphere, 1,200 people on the opening night in Leicester Square waiting for the first Lord of the Rings movie to start. You can't imagine what that's like now because it doesn't happen now. Because
it's soulless. The movie theater experience going is soulless now. It's
quite literally.
So the book Silver Screen Journeys, and that picture on the front of the book is the first cinema I ever went to. Basically, is going to take you back to those times through the memories that I experienced, and it's also a bit of a journal of my life. There's a lot of personal stories in there, some of which I've never talked about before, but it's also for the reader. It's going to evoke all your own memories. As you're going to remember the first film you went to see with your dad. You're going to remember the first film that you went to see with your first girlfriend or boyfriend when you read this book, because the reviews that I've had so far, there's only about 5 online, but the ones that have been from people that I don't know, they've all said the same thing. My God, this is making me remember all these different times that I went to the cinema as a kid. And it's bringing all that stuff up for them, and I hope in a positive way. And this came about as a result of the last book I wrote, which was my diary from 1988. And I saw 137 movies that year, and I found the diary and I thought this diary will make an interesting book. So I transcribed it, but I also decided to add reviews in of all the films I saw. And that's what gave me the idea to write this book. If I come on camera for a sec, the reason I'm off camera is because I've been having trouble with my focusing today. But I'll show you something quickly, Dark, if you want to take that down for a sec. This is my box of cinema tickets. I've got all of them. I mean, I've got all the tickets from Indiana Jones are all in here. I've got the opening night of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Everything's in here. Heat. They're all in here. So this is why I can remember where I went, because I've got the tickets for everything. There's probably about 1,000 tickets in here.
Damn. I'd say at least. I mean, that handful alone was probably about 300.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one small stack right there. So if I show you like some of them, for example, here you go. So this is Empire Screen 1, which is me and Mega Geek. Well, the man doesn't exist anymore. Wayne's World 2, 1994.
Yeah.
So, and just picking out random stuff. Robocop 2, there you go.
Odeon.
So, 1990.
Odeon West End.
Yeah. I always went to the opening night, Leicester Square. There's a double bill of The Fly and The Fly 2.
Wow.
And I've Back to the Future 2 here for the Empire. I've got them all. So I was able to, because I've got serious memory issues because I had brain damage back in 2004. So part of the exercise of the book was going through all these tickets and trying to remember these things. The Plaza as well, Ian, you'd remember that was a beautiful.
Yeah, I remember the Plaza. Yeah.
Sadly, no longer there. I saw the re-release of Das Boot in there. I saw they did a re-release of The Italian Job. I saw that in Screen 1 of the Plaza. That's in the book. So, so I'm hoping that this book will really resonate with people. It's very different from anything I've written before, that's basically it. It's quite a personal piece, but it's also a love letter to the cinema times that we've lost now. As somebody said, a soulless experience now, very much so, and people are always getting their bloody phones out. I can't stand that. During the film.
Yeah, if you scan the QR code currently on the screen, you will get an access to Dark Hour's personal library of the best B-movie pornography. But if you go to the Amazon link, that is where you can find Lance's book, and it sounds like it is.
Is it only doing it for the American link? Is that what's going on? I kind of was trying to work a way around that. But
it's done on Wicked, I think it's called now.
So Amazon.com is the one you want if you're buying the book in the States, and Amazon.co.uk. And I mean, I've got the link for both here if you need them.
I think we're the oldest ones here, right? Me and you, Lance.
I'm 52.
Well, I'm going to be 60 next year. But in the old days, you used to go to the cinema, okay, and you could sit in there. They don't kick you out after the film had finished, and then you could watch it again. You just pay one.
Yeah, you could do that at the local cinemas. You couldn't do that in at Leicester Square.
Yeah, exactly.
They were on that.
Yeah.
You had
my dad has similar stories about that, because when my dad was growing up in pretty much the town nearest to me now, because we haven't really moved around that much, but there used to be 7 cinemas in the town, and he used to be able to go there for like 5p and watch a whole day's worth of movies, lots of which were kind of like B and C tier movies, but it was a whole sort of day experience. It was a way of getting out of the house. It was a great way of enjoying not only film but also storytelling. We now have one cinema left in town. It's one of the big sort of corporate megaplex ones. It's a View, which of course just looks like every other View everywhere in the country. That stories from your book, Lance, sort of get me wondering as a question. Like, the thing that strikes me from all those tickets you've got is that it's not just that the theater going experience was incredible, but it was that you were watching incredible movies, and almost every single year has blockbusters that we still look back on today as being some of the best movies that are ever made. All through the 1980s, 1984 gives us a huge list of incredible movies that still hold up to this day. To what extent is the decline of the cinema going experience a decline of the films worth seeing? If we had more films that were of that quality, do you think you'd be able to recreate the kind of experience that you and Mega Geek had growing up in cinema? Or is something just irrevocably changed about the cinema itself?
The last time I went to an opening night where people were really, really juiced, and you can always feel that atmosphere where everybody's up for it, and every seat is sold out, even the shit ones on the end where you sit on the end of the film that's all long and it's weird. That was at what is the new now Empire Screen 1 or IMAX. And it was the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. And I remember that the film just started, and some guy took a call on his mobile, like 2 rows in front of me. Couldn't believe it. And it was just, as the logos were coming up, whatever it was, 20th Century Fox or whoever did it. And I was pissed, and I shouted out, "Turn off your phone, you cock." And the whole cinema just burst into laughter and all looked at this guy who was on his phone, and he quickly, like, you know, sorry, I've got to go, and put his phone away. Because as soon as someone turns their phone on, you know, the screens, the auditorium's gone dark. You got a light going on over there. Your eye is immediately drawn to it, so you take your focus off the screen. And I've watched films now, even when they have been packed in the centre of town, which is centre of town is always a different experience to the local cinema, where 5 or 6 people will take calls all the way through the movie, and I keep getting taken out the film. That's a big problem for me, and they don't police it either. There's no usher telling you to turn off your phone in London, because that usher knows they might get stabbed on the way home if they do that.
I think the last big one was Endgame. I think when I went to see Endgame, it was packed. There was no seats left. People were cheering, especially when Captain America caught, you know, Thor's hammer. People they just went berserk. They were just screaming and cheering and stuff.
Local cinema.
That was the last one for me.
It was that was pretty busy. But the byline on the book as well, the two, it's not just the film, it's the people, the places that make memorable. One of my big things in the book is the experience. The experience for me of going to see a great movie is about the people I see it with, because the big buzz is when I come out and you're all really excited and you want to talk to them. And I know some people love going to the cinema on their own, but I used to, but I don't anymore. And it's a bit like going on an amazing roller coaster at a theme park. You get off that roller coaster, it's been a fantastic experience. You want to turn around and tell the person, hey, that was great, wasn't it? You know, and you're talking about it. If that person's not there and you've just seen an amazing film and you're coming out, an important thing in the book is, who did I see the film with and what was going on with us at the time? And so I've recounted some of that as well. And that's a big part of what made all those memories very special for me, particularly if they were special people. There's all kinds of different occasions. I always did a big birthday party every year, and people always knew they were going to go and see the opening night of a movie in London, and I would never tell them what it was. And we did the opening nights of Big Trouble in Little China, Die Hard, RoboCop, just to name 3 of them. Black Hawk Down, and that's one of the ones I missed. I forgot about it. But all of those, you know, all of the stories that I remember, they're all in there. So hopefully people will find it very relatable. So there you go. Thank you for letting me talk about that.
No, it's great. I think it's always important to do, because obviously, kind of by virtue of what we do and what this show is and what our channels are, we talk about the movies that come out generally. And unfortunately, it is the case that a large number of the movies that come out that get talked about just aren't very good. But the reason we do it is because, you know, everyone has stories not quite as rich as yours, perhaps, but, you know, we all have stories about why we get into film, what film means, what storytelling means. So it's important that, and you've done, you know, the work in actually putting this together in an anthology, and obviously the Mega Geek is making a film based on his love. All of these great things come from a love of film. So even though a lot of the attention gets put on Marvel Schlock episode number 5,679, it's actually still a medium that has merit to it. We can all hope that we can get back to a time when maybe someone sitting here today might, in 40 years' time, be able to look back and say they've had a similar rich film-going experience as you have. Sadly, I don't think anybody born in the last 30 years has probably got quite the film library to boast of, but maybe one day in the future we'll get back to it.
I mean, to illustrate your point about the quality of films, this is my actual diary from 1988 that I thought I'd lost, and I found in a box, which then got this. You can see I wrote in every day, right? And that was the first year I went to the States. One of the things I saved, because every day I had a day off, I would go to the cinema and I would just see 3 or 4 films back to back. I had 1 day off a week. I was working in a summer camp as a drama teacher. And this is an actual piece of paper from the films that were on at the time at the local cinema. And if you look at the selection, I saw Die Hard 7 times. It hadn't opened in the UK yet. You had the remake of The Blob, decent film. Even Cocktail, a very entertaining movie. Maybe not an amazing film, but very watchable. Big and amazing film. Midnight Run, absolutely first class, fantastic movie. Re-release of Bad Beat, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, absolutely fantastic movie. What do you notice about the films that are on here? There's not many sequels. You've got Fish Called Wanda as well up here. So you look at the quality of original good movies in this one sheet alone. Roger Rabbit, Big, Die Hard. Okay, you got one remake, The Blob, and Midnight Run, and you got Coming to America there as well. That's like 7 or 8 really good original films on a lineup in peak season. I look at the same lineup in my cinema up the road. It's 7 sequels or remakes. I think there's one original movie. One.
Yeah, there's always the list always has a 2 or a 3 at the end, or it's like a spin-off, or it's a sympathetic villain origin story prequel for a movie that was popular back in the 1990s. Yeah, there's a lot of that around at the moment, but the fact that they're all losing money kind of makes you think we might be at that sort of late stage that Hollywood itself hit in sort of the 60s, early 70s, sort of before you get the renaissance of all the great new filmmakers who come through. They create the movies that are listed on that there. You know, you get your Indiana Jones, you get Star Wars, you get George Lucas, Spielberg, and all the rest of those bold new visionaries who are given a chance because the culture of endless sequel, endless repetition of Western has let everyone down, and they're not making money, so they have no choice but to go and try and renew themselves. So you kind of hope maybe if the end of the superhero genre achieves anything, it might be that something similar happens, right? They've run out of steam. Everyone knows they've run out of steam. They're running out of money. They need to give new people more of a chance, take more risks, lower budget films, the kind of origin story for a Ghostbusters, for example. And perhaps in the next 10 years, you might start seeing some new IPs with stories worth telling again. So that's something to hope for.
I don't know if you remember this, but there was a big hullabaloo about this in lockdown, that 3 big studios or 3 big production houses got together. I'm sure Mega Geek will remember this. And they said, we're looking for new writers. We're looking for new talent. We're going to do all these different rounds. We're going to do an action round, and we want action feature films, 2 hours. You've got to submit a script. And they did a sports movie one. They did a comedy movie one. I think there were 5 different ones. I submitted to 3 of those because I've got 40, 50 scripts on my computer. I wrote 30 in 2020 alone because there was nothing else to do. So I was just writing the whole time. And I submitted to one of those. In fact, I submitted to 3 of them. But when I realized I was not going to, my script wasn't even going to get read. And you know how I knew that was because it went past the submission date. Everyone was supposed to get notified whether or not you were going to get to the next round. And I didn't get notified. So I was like, I wrote to them and said, I haven't heard anything. Is there a backlog or whatever? Oh, no, you'll hear soon. And it went on and on and on. And I was thinking, oh, maybe this means I've got through, but they just haven't told me yet. Eventually, some minion, oh, sorry, yes, no, you were supposed to get this. And they didn't even send me the rejection email. They sent me the link to where the person online was supposed to write the rejection email with the insert name here. They couldn't even be asked to send me the proper reply. And the thing that made me suspicious that I was never going to get through was because you had to do a video of like 30 seconds or something, just saying why the project was fantastic. And I thought, well, what's that video really for? Because surely the script should speak for itself. It's a script submission.
That's so they can look at you, I imagine, and that will be the decision they make. Right. Yeah, what you could try and do though, because
that video and just went, nah, this
old stale white male. But what you could try and do, there's very sophisticated and quite cheap AI modeling these days that can give you an entirely new face, and you can probably give yourself a girl's voice. And if you call yourself something like Ta-Nehisi D'Angelo and then send the script in, it might actually get read, because that seems to be the thing they're kind of judging it on at the moment. Just pretend to be somebody else, and because unfortunately that's the qualifying criteria.
I could tell you another story about that, but I don't want to take up too much time. But just show you that, because it's Die Hard season. That's the cover of the 1988 book, and it's basically a rip. It's basically a rip on the Die Hard poster, because I talk about Die Hard in it quite a lot, because that was the summer that I went to see Die Hard 7 times.
I want to go and see The Cleaner with Ridley. What's her name?
Yeah,
Ridley. Die Hard ripoff.
I don't know. I quite fancy it. I want to see it.
Immediately when they said, "Who's up there?" She's ex-army. That's when I started laughing. I was like, "Oh, this film. Oh no, man, that's going to be hilarious." Oh no, I can't wait.
Since it's come out, I mean, it's the spirit of the season. Are we all agreed that Die Hard is in fact a Christmas movie?
Yes. And so is Die Hard 2. So is Die Hard 2.
Full stop.
Die Hard is Christmas. It's nothing
Die
else.
Hard is Christmas. It's the true meaning of Christmas is Die Hard.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas miracle he survives.
It is, yeah. It's all about miracles and family and presents in the form of bullets, and there's snow, so you know.
Yeah. And getting a machine gun and saying ho ho ho.
Yeah,
I have I wore a shirt like that on Thursday. That's in the wash now, but I have a Christmas sweater that says that. It's the
I've seen those. But yeah, I do have to jump off now because I just hit 5,000 subs and we're doing a celebration stream.
Oh, congratulations!
Cool. Nice. Well done, Lance.
Nice
well
Christmas
done,
present.
Yeah, I'd just like to say one thing which I forgot to say about Rebecca Gold. It literally has the logo of Nerderotic in one shot. It's in the trailer. If you look at the trailer, you will see that she's got a monitor and it says Nerderotic on there. So, so there you go. So
that's he'll spot that and like it, I'm sure. But Lance, thank you so much for taking the time, and yeah, we look forward to seeing the book. I'm going to be placing an order for that for Christmas.
Can I just say something to your listeners before I go? So just to let people know, my channel is here to support independent creatives like Mega Geek, like people that are working outside the system. If you're someone like him who's working on a film in a similar way, you're going to do an Indiegogo next year. You're going to do a Kickstarter next year. Maybe you're launching your first board game or your comic. Get in touch with my channel and I will interview you. I will get you on, probably with another guest to bring more people in. So that's what we do. We get big guests on like Gail Hurd, who produced The Terminator and, you know, The Walking Dead, and she brings in people. And then we get, you know, independent creatives that don't have a big following. That's the purpose of the channel. We're here to support the people that are fighting to get heard. So my channel is the voice for those people. So if you've got a project, you're passionate about it, get in touch with me either through the Outcast Creative Facebook page or the Twitter page. I will happily support you. You can be doing music, whatever, as long as it's something in a creative medium. If I can help you, I will. So, all right.
It's valuable work. That is the origin point of a little platoon, is getting together and forming these communities that can work outside of the system and supporting each other to create things. It's one of the most valuable things you can do. But yeah, no, thank you again for taking the time, and congratulations for hitting the 5,000 just before Christmas. It's a good time for it as well.
Thank you. I do thank all my YouTube collaborators in the back of Silver Screen Journeys, and that includes everybody on this panel. So, I love collaborating with people. Anyone's welcome on my channel anytime. I don't care how many subs people have. You know, I like to support and help people out. If you've got something interesting to say, you're passionate about films, you know, you're always welcome. So, and thank you so much for having me on. Quite a big channel, I understand. So quite an honor. Thank you.
No, anytime. We love to have you.
Thanks to chat for listening in. Yeah, I better run, but Merry Christmas, everyone, and I'll see you soon.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas.
So I guess we have a few leftover super chats that weren't really 100% related to anything. So I guess we could pop those up for the final 10-15 minutes.
David Smart for $5. First time super chat, and yes, I hate the Superman trailer because it's crap, and Superman was depressed, sad, and pathetic. It pissed me off so much.
I guess that was related, so I must have missed that one before. I'm sorry.
You might have a point.
That was supposed to be avoided. It was not supposed to be a repeat of Snyder. Nerdy Film Girl for $4.99. Out of the 4 films coming out for Christmas, A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, Baby Girl, and Nosferatu, what are you all most excited for?
Nosferatu.
I personally, Nosferatu for sure.
Definitely.
Yep.
The only other one that I've even heard of is The Complete Unknown. That's the other two I haven't even heard of.
You guys can go to cinema on Christmas Day, right? But in England, everything is shut on Christmas Day. So I have to wait till Boxing Day.
It is definitely a thing. Tom Waiting for $9.99. I watched the Orville recently. How is a Star Trek ripoff where an alien race starts a feminist revolution inspired by the lyrics of Dolly Parton be one of the best sci-fi shows I've seen in years? I can't speak for the Orville because
I stopped watching after season 1, I think.
I've just never been a fan of Seth MacFarlane very much.
Me neither. I've been off him since 2008. So
Thrill House for $2. Call her Robert the way she gone downy on my junior.
There's layers to that one. I quite like it.
Jay Fraser 360 for $5 fake. Hail BSUP and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too. What's the panel looking forward to in 2025? Congrats, Adam, on getting on BSUP. Thoughts on Dune Prophecy getting a season 2?
Boggles my mind.
Yeah, we were actually, before everybody else came backstage, me and Adam were talking about that. It's just such a boring show.
I haven't watched it.
It's in a nutshell. I just to frame it. I'm not against what Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson did to finish it all up. I'm not against that. I rather enjoyed it. But what they did is they took Brian Herbert's stuff. They said it's based on it when it's not based on it, even that at all. And what they did take wasn't even accurate. And then they're writing complete fan fiction that is boring and makes no sense and is poorly written and poorly acted. I haven't even watched the finale. I still have to watch it and review it tomorrow. It's mind-numbingly boring and dumb, and it boggles my mind how it got a second season. Because according to Samba, it only got 875,000 watchers for the first premiere episode, and it steadily declined. And it never even broke into Nielsen originals.
Is this one of those examples where they had already commissioned 2 seasons, and so they've just announced it like it's a renewal because it makes it sound more popular?
That is the best guess I can put, because it's only 6 episodes. So maybe they put in a contract for 12 episodes and season 2 will be 6 episodes. That's the closest thing I get. It's like a Velma situation. That's like the closest thing I can think of, because it bogs on, because nobody's watching this, nobody's talking about it. I'm getting barely any traction on it. And I'm either getting hate from the people who hate that I hate it, or people who hate Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson and hate that I sort of like that. So it's just a waste of time. Just a complete waste of time.
It did seem that way. I mean, I've watched a couple of. Well, I mean, I think I've actually had almost all of the episodes on at some point. It's just every time it's one of those. Every time you put it on, you find something very important that you should be doing instead, and so you go away and find something more important and fun to do, just like cutting your toenails or something. It's incredibly slow. Very obviously trying to be Game of Thrones in space, I think.
And that's the ironic thing, because Dune is the original Game of Thrones.
It is indeed, yeah.
And it makes no damn sense at all. Literally, on one of my reviews, I said I was so bored I started looking up porn. I was so bored. I needed.
No, I mean, you don't need to be bored for that.
I needed to be interested in something, and might as well go to the default. So.
I just don't really know exactly what they were hoping to get out of it. It's very lavish. It's obviously had a huge amount of money spent on it. The effects are all good. It looks like a pristine science fiction show, but the stuff that actually matters to a story, characters, your plot, your world building, things that actually get you invested in it, I haven't been able to detect a single one. It's just a bunch of people sitting around talking about betrayal.
And I'm still looking for Mark Strong. I'm still looking for Mark Strong to appear. And there's one scene where Travis Fimmel actually chewed a little scenery and did a good job, but that's kind of it.
Is it the scene where he's in the courtroom? That one?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, that was probably the only part that I enjoyed, was that whole courtroom sequence. Other than that, the first 2 episodes were boring as hell. I think it was episode 3 was when that courtroom thing happened, or 4.
It was 4.
And I haven't watched the last 2. Well, the most recent one. I'm not even sure if I'm going to finish it, because it has no. It's not pulling me in. I don't care about anything that's going on.
Perfect example. Somebody I stream with, Jeremy Wormy, said his dad watches it, and you know what that means? His dad watches anything, and he said he liked it. So that's the level of people watching this. They either like it because there's plenty of representation in it. There's plenty of everything, and they warped perfectly. And I saw the chat mentioned it. Frank Herbert knew how to write strong female characters, and Brian Herbert, for the most part, carried that on. They took strong female characters and turned them into women's for no reason whatsoever, and made them unlikable. Waste of time. It boggles my mind.
Justin Martins for $5. What happened to the Danny DeVito painting Dark Hour? I missed the Danny DeVito painting.
I have it right here. I just mixed things up a little bit, but I'll hold it up for you. I from time to time I just like to mix up the background a little bit, because I have to look at it a lot. So I try to mix it up with whatever I have. I have so many things around. That's why I moved it. He'll come back. He hasn't gone away. But that's all the supers. So
cool.
Right, yeah. Well, as we are coming up on the 2-hour mark, unless there's anything else that anybody has spotted in the news, I guess it's probably time to stick a plug in your shit, right? That's what we do.
That's funny.
I'm very proud of that 8-second clip or 6-second clip.
Yeah.
We've now got two graphics in our stream. We're really going up in the world. We've got an intro and that. I know, we're getting good. We will go counterclockwise. So Adam, Renaissance Node, thank you very much for joining us. Where can we find you and what is coming up on your channel?
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun being here. It's a short laundry list, or it's a laundry list, so I'll try and keep it short. I stream a lot during the week. I do reviews on my main channel, The Renaissance Nerd. Tonight is my Monday chill stream, Mellow Mondays, where we just kind of chill out and talk nerd stuff and be sometimes forced to watch horrible things. You can catch my Dune Prophecy finale review some point tomorrow. We've got Skeleton Crew review this week. Fridays, I am on Dermy Wormy's channel on a show called Ballbusters, where it's just degeneracy and retardation. So if you're into that, it's fun. Saturdays, and you guys would probably be most interested in this one, every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern on my channel and Jed the Hollywood Scotter's channel, we have a show called Saturday Night Drive-In, where we sit down and we talk a movie for an hour or so. Most recently, for the Christmas spirit, we did Lion in Winter, the brilliant 1968 version, not the one that came.
Good film.
It is one of my top. It's the only one of the 2 movies in the world I'll give it 10 out of 10. There's only 2 movies, and that's one of them. I love that movie so much. Most recently, but then Jed countered and made me watch Love Actually, and that was painful. Made me watch that. But that just shows you the range, what we'll do on all kinds of stuff. So it's usually 6 p.m. Eastern every Saturday, but not this week, because this week it's Doctor Who Christmas special.
Oh God, don't watch that.
So we've got our review show, Doctor Who Cares Reviews, taking up the time slot. We'll be back next week where we're doing Hook. Love Hook. And then every Sunday, my panel show, 2 p.m. Eastern, the Roundtable. You can catch it. We go over the week's events in our own special, strange, fun way. So again, thank you guys for having me here. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate the invite.
Anytime. Welcome back anytime. Yeah, the only thing I've read about the Doctor Who Christmas special is that it's an hour long and lots of people cry. So I might be giving that a swerve.
Joy is fat. Joy is fat. Very fat.
Oh, good. Multiple shooties, apparently.
Don't get me started. It breaks so much more. Terrible.
Every new shooty is an extra reason not to watch it. But, I said we were going counterclockwise, and I got my clocks wrong because it's just that time of year. We're actually going clockwise, so it's the Mega Geek coming up next. What's coming up for you, sir? Where can we find you besides Rebecca Gold?
Well, I'm usually on Brown's channel. That's a lot of fun. Where I create loads of catchphrases over there. And I'm on Sci-Fi Chronicles as well, which is, you don't know, there's a guy named John, and he does a really good job. We talk about films and stuff. And last thing we talked about was the Superman trailer, would you believe? So there you go. I'm on there. But you can support me on the Rebecca Gold channel, sub and like the trailer. And season 1's on there too. A couple of my movies are on there because I've got 3 movies I directed, so it's on there. So yeah, knock yourself out. Thank you.
Good stuff. Lots of good Christmas watching. We are now going to break the clock again, and we're going upwards and diagonally, so it's not even a clock anymore. Dark Hour, what's coming up for you?
So I wasn't able to do a Sonic 3 review in the amount of time that I had between, but I got a couple of relatively new videos on my channel. Obviously, I did a Skeleton Crew one, but no one cared about that show at all. And I did do my first ever trailer kind of react to the Superman trailer. I got 2 hoes coming up this upcoming week, which Platoon may or may not be on. He's still checking on his schedule, but we're going to be covering Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, and to finish out the Indiana Jones series for the year. And then, yeah, you can find me here.
Good stuff. Cynic, where can we know where we can find you. You're here right now, but what's coming up on your channel?
Just dropped a Sonic 3 and Mufasa double review video like 3 hours ago, and you can go check that out. And I will be here next week. Oh, yeah, it was a fun one to write because those movies have a lot in common, except one movie does everything well and one does everything terribly. So And I will be here next week for a long ass stream we're going to be doing.
Oh yeah. Forgot to mention that.
Yep. We'll have to
6-7 hours or so. God, I have like 30 people booked. Obviously, some might not make it. That's why I booked.
It's going to be a long show, just like we did last year at the end of the year. It's an end of the year extravaganza. We're going to discuss everything and everything and everything and everything.
The BSUP New Year's Eve Bonanza extravaganza 2024.
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be our last chance ever to talk about Madam Web. It'll be great.
Who wants to talk about that?
Still one of my favorite movies of the year. And yeah, for me, I think depending on how much time I have this evening, I'm hoping to get a video out tomorrow. And then I was going to do another one. I think I might just take some time off. I haven't had that for about 3 years. So I might, I'll just take a week off. Fuck Craven. It doesn't need a review. It's Christmas. So yes, we'll see. I'll probably end up getting bored and doing something, but yeah, video tomorrow. And then that might be it until the new year, but we will see. That brings us to the end of the program, I believe. So
no, not Brian.
No, it isn't.
Not Brian for $10. He said Merry Christmas, panel in chat, and Merry Christmas to you, Brian. Hope you have a suitably inebriated festive period. Great to see Ian on the show.
Thanks.
Much obliged. Merry Christmas and good to see you too, Brian. That, though, I think is the end of the show, unless there's another one that we've missed.
Nope.
Good-o. In which case, thank you very much to chat for being chat. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you to the panel. I hope you have an okay Christmas. You know, you guys are fine. And we will see you. Is it in the new year?
No.
We have the 30th.
It's New Year's
Eve. We're doing New Year's Eve. We will see you just before for New Year's
New Year's Eve, the 30th, next Monday.
Yes. Bring drinks, your own drinks, because we're not paying. But and that's it.
It's not an open bar; it's a closed bar. It's a
closed private lock-in for 7 hours. See you later. Bye.
Bye.